Before we get back to the conversation, here's a quick reminder. Gurll Mind Your Business is where we help women amplify their voice, own their message, and show up with confidence. Through real conversation, strategy, and powerful insights, we help you get clear, get visible, and build with purpose. If you're ready to stop shrinking, start speaking, and turn your voice into impact, you're in the right place. Gurll Mind Your Business, where we help you amplify your voice and mind your business. Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of Gurll Mind Your Business. Today, I have a guest that you really want to hear from. She's an author, a mentor, a speaker, and encourager. She encourages women who are navigating transition. My guest today is none other than Pamela Jennings Taylor. After 44 years of nursing, she decided to get out there and continue with her calling for help, healing, and encouragement. Let me bring her to the stage, Pam.
Hello, good to see
Hello,
you.
Pam. Good to
Yeah,
see you. Thanks for joining me today.
well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I'm
Good,
excited to be here.
good. Okay, we're gonna start. Just
Okay.
tell us, how you came up with the idea to encourage women just to step into their next season.
Yeah, so first of all, I never would have thought I would want to do. I'm usually, maybe behind the scenes kind of person. And especially with writing and getting out there, I never thought about writing a book at all. But the connection, like I was a nurse for 44 years. I just retired last year, and that leap to writing and helping women, I think it came from being a nurse and being observant of people and their needs and being compassionate. And so I would listen a lot, and even people that I worked with, I would listen to what their needs were, and if it was something I thought I could help with, I would share what I had learned, what God had shown me and given me wisdom about. So that's kind of how I got into it. And I certainly didn't think I would write one book, let alone now four and counting. So um, that's kind of how my journey started. And I do have, you mentioned um, women, particularly for me, moms. And I can tell you a little bit about that in a little bit when you're ready. But moms, especially women who I feel like have more of a quiet spoken, kind of introverted personality, and they don't really know that they can be impactful with their voice and influence people, and others who are just trying to make that transition to another level of their purpose. So
Okay.
that's who I'm called to.
So the me mom, is that what you called it?
Mommy to mentor.
Okay,
Yes,
okay.
yes, yes. And that came from having a heart for moms. So I'll make it personal. When I was 28 years old, my mom passed. And that
Mm.
was, I was married, but it was 2 years before I had my first child. So I got a lot from my mom, while she was here, but also had to ask God how to help me, navigate that motherhood. And so that's where the mommy to mentor came in, parenting adult children. So that's the twist on it, because that's a whole different whole different animal.
It
Um,
is.
Yes, yes. And so the book came out of that, just me sharing with people what God had helped me with, personally, to navigate through motherhood and then teenage years and then young adult years. And I just share it with people, write kind of the wisdom down on little scrap sheets of paper, still not thinking book, but just writing it down for myself so I would remember. So that's kind of how it all got going there. And
Right.
parenting knows I have three now adult children. So so I know. I'm I'm personally in it. It's not
I
what somebody told me. It's what I
oh,
know.
don't I know?
Yes.
I keep saying, like I told you earlier, I have books on the shelf that have not even been published. But I
Mhm.
um I lost my mom 11 years ago, and
Mhm.
I found her. And people don't understand,
Mhm.
when you lose your mom, and me and my mom were like besties. I
Oh,
could
yes.
say I have to go to a conference where she kept a suitcase packed. She was always
Mhm.
to go. And I asked her why. She said, I never know when you're gonna hit that road, so I'm gonna be ready. So, and I think about a lot of things, and frequently I'll say, well, my mom used to always say, because
Mhm.
for 30 years it was always, you got to get this in your head. And
Right.
I can remember when we were younger, Mama would say, y'all just don't listen. But I can remember, now that she's gone, I remember
Right.
everything she said.
Uh-huh.
But that's another
Absolutely.
episode.
Yes, yes.
So the 44 years, I think you said you were in nursing, and then you decided to do this. What
Yeah.
was your turning point to make you go ahead and retire and then step into your calling?
Yeah, so after 44 years, I was more than ready to retire nursing, but I had already written the first book. Let's see, maybe 6 years before then, the Mommy to Mentor Parenting Adult Children. I had written that even while I was working. So what kind of prompted all of that was like I mentioned, I shared things with people. I write it down when God gave it to me, and then one day I just kind of blurted out, kind of jokingly, to my kids, and I was like, I should write a book. And what did I say that for? They started encouraging me. My husband was encouraging me, and guess what I did? I procrastinated, so I did not write a book, but I kept my notes and. Then I went on a trip with some friends. There were four of us, and we went to Destin, Florida. And one of them had been there before to a church she had visited. So she was saying, well, maybe when we get there, we can go to that church that Friday. And I was like, okay. And they were having a prophetic service.
Mhm.
And one of the ladies came, I was talking to her, and she said, just real quietly, God said, why haven't you started writing? And I was like, what? I was I was like, okay, God, I am here on vacation, okay. And she said, he said, why haven't you started writing? So I took that to heart. I felt like maybe I should put something in writing to help more than just the people I'm talking to every day at work or family. And even when I was sharing with them, it was casually. I felt like, maybe this will help. This helped me. And I'd share different little tips or things like that when they were dealing with different things with their kids. And so we came back home, I procrastinated a little more, and I thought, well, look, I've got to. God is really kind of prompted me to do this. And so I knew I needed maybe a little more accountability, for that. So I'm in a prayer group. And so one of the prayer meetings, after we had prayed and everything, I said, I'm going to blurt this out. I said, I'm writing a book. Because I knew they would hold me accountable.
Right,
But
right.
one lady in particular, and I still tease her and tell her to this day, she was the one, when I kind of told her about what I was thinking about it being about. I don't think it had a real title. She was like, oh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited about it. And then she started periodically asking me, so how's the book coming? And I thought, oh, Lord,
Now
I
you
hadn't
got to do it.
started. So then I started intentionally writing. Um, But I will say this as far as writing a book. See, I had never written a book. So I thought people who wrote books started from the beginning. They went from chapter one all the way to the end. And that had me stuck.
Right.
I was like, I can't do that. That's not how my thoughts are coming. So my oldest son, he really helped me, and I give him credit for this. He told me, he said, "Mom, don't try to make it a book. Just
Mm,
write. Just write." And so God started giving me, first of all, he only gave me the chapter names. So I wrote those down and I went to my computer to type it in, and I typed the first chapter name, then blank space to go to the next page, the next title. And so that happened first. And I think he was just waiting on me to start and then
right.
start giving me more and more to add to it. So
Right.
that's kind of how it started. A lot of procrastination in there. Um,
Right.
as I mentioned, I didn't write the first book till I was 59.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I wasn't even thinking about writing before then. So maybe I'll say a year before then, I kind of started thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't even publish the first one till I was 59. So it's
Oh,
never too late.
never too late. Never,
Never
never.
too late.
And
Mm-mm.
God will put things on your mind and your heart that you can speak to, because
Hmm.
you never know who's listening and who want to hear what you got to say.
Absolutely.
That's like me with this podcast.
Hmm.
I've been doing a podcast for 10 years,
Hmm.
but I just started in March.
Okay. I understand.
Because I was like, I got too much to do. I don't have time to sit up and
Hmm.
talk to people and everything. And
Yeah.
I had somebody tell me, people listen to you, people want to hear. And I'm thinking, okay, my mom is gone, but
Uh-huh.
I guess I am sort of like her, and I can talk to anybody.
And you probably find people are drawn to you, aren't they?
They
Yeah.
are,
Yeah. Hmm.
they
Hmm.
are.
When
Well,
you're
that's
approachable like that, people are. And I
yeah,
believe God definitely has, for me, uh, too. I was stuck in a lot of places, just comparison, you know, um, thinking I had to have a certain kind of personality to do certain things. And
yeah,
um, some people I thought, we have people say, "Oh, she was a powerhouse. She could just, talk and her voice carried." And I'm thinking, that's not me.
right,
I'm just I'm approachable. I do love people. They talk to me, but you're not going to hear me from here way across the way. My voice
right,
is just not like that. So I had to get over that.
right.
Hmm.
And I have to tell people a lot of times you just have to move out of your own way. And that's our
Yes.
problem a lot of times. We get in our
Hmm.
own way, we get things in our head, and we,
Right.
oh, I can't do this. I'm not gonna do that. Nobody's gonna listen to me. And
Hmm.
I found that people I don't even know will inbox me and say, that was a good topic. Now, what were you talking about with this? And it's just funny to me that
Yeah.
people really want to hear what I have to say. But I guess everybody has something to say and everybody have their voice. So that's why I
Mhm.
wanted to start this podcast, because we do have to amplify our voice every chance we get.
Absolutely. Yes, we do. We do. And what became clear to me over the years was that God has given each of us an audience. Somebody
Right,
wants to hear us, like you were saying, somebody. It may not be everybody, but He has given us a voice for our particular audience. And so
right,
we have to be obedient to do that. And I always think about, I heard, this from Joyce Meyer a long time ago, where she said, "Do it afraid," you
right,
know, just do it anyway.
right,
Knees knocking together and everything, and it'll get better as you go. But you
right,
have to at least start. Hmm.
right. So many women believe that they have to be loud to make an impact. But what would you like to say to the quiet woman
Mm-hmm.
who think her voice does not matter.
Right. And I'm glad you're mentioning that because everything I write is related to me, things that God has helped me with. And so I see myself as having a more quiet, soft-spoken voice, not
Yeah,
shy. I love people, but and a more introverted, which really just means that's how you recharge. You just need some space, and then
right,
you come back. But for those people, that's why I wrote that book, The Quiet Spirit. Don't underestimate your power, because even the quiet voices have something impactful, influential to say. A lot of times we may overthink, but we have thought about things and we have something to bring to the table. And I think if we get out of our head and just um, learn to project our voices, especially if we're in a group and we have something to say. A lot of times we do have to project our voices more to be heard, but it doesn't mean changing your personality. So some people are like, well, I'm just quiet and that's just how it is. Okay, yes, but you have something that somebody needs to hear. And it's
right,
almost selfish not to share it because that may be something that really helps them to transform their lives. And you have that inside of you. You know it.
right,
And most quiet people, they are burning inside to say it. They just won't go on and say something because they
right.
don't think they'll be heard. And so for them and for myself, what I had to do was purposefully educate myself, purposefully, maybe um, take some online classes or read some books on how to do it because that's no excuse not to share just because you feel like you're more quiet and soft spoken. God still
Right.
has a purpose for you.
God always have a purpose. The thing is,
Mm-hmm.
you have to lean into it and know yourself, because
Right.
there is a big mindset shift for
Mm-hmm.
people that don't think they have anything to say or anything to
Right.
offer to anybody else. People just don't understand. And I was one of those people. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
think, I thought, nobody want to hear what I got to say. But
Mm-hmm.
I had to really change my mindset, because you know, people don't realize wherever you are in life, your mind got there first. And unless
Yes,
you change
that's
your
good.
mind, nothing is going to change. So,
Exactly.
what did you do to stop comparing yourself to others, and just step out to own up to what God put in you?
Mm-hmm. You have to take one step at a time. When you look too far ahead, you're going to either get frightened or think, I can't do that. And I like to say, and I do tell people this sometimes, I said, walk in the revelation that you have for today, just for today. What did he say do today? What's that one step that you can do today? Then rest, and God is going to connect the dots. There are a lot
Mm-hmm.
of things over my years that I told a friend of mine. I said, I think God, he grooms us and we don't realize he's just inching us out more and more into the deep waters.
Right.
He kind of gets your hand and say, okay, come on, Pam, let's just take a walk and do this. And then next thing you know, you're taking another step and taking another step, and you look around and it's like, God, how did I get way out here in the deep? But if you just take one step at a time. So an example would be for me, as a writer, and anybody as a writer, if you know you have something to say, do the first thing. Go to the Dollar Tree and get a notebook and a pen. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Nope, don't make it so deep that you don't do anything. And that's when you are stagnant. You're just stuck. And I call it continuous preparation.
Mm-hmm.
Where you're gonna, which is really procrastination. We
Right.
kind of doctor it up to sound like I'm just preparing, I'm just, I'm still getting it together. But to do that one step, we want to be excellent, but be excellent for this time period, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and then you keep tweaking as you go.
Right.
Otherwise, if you keep trying to be perfect, you're not going to ever step out.
No,
So
you're
that
not.
one step at a time is what really
Right.
helped me.
And
Hmm.
if you don't ever start, you won't start. But
You
what
won't.
kept me with people, they'll say, "Oh, I'm waiting on the Lord." He's already told you. So what are you
Exactly.
waiting on him? He's got to
Exactly.
stand in front of you. But you just and then there's some people you just cannot help. No matter what you do, you
Yeah.
cannot help them, and
They
you
have
have to
to.
learn to walk away and just let them deal with whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah. They have to want to.
Right.
And I think the thing that really propelled me forward and really pushed me forward was that I knew God had something for me to say. So I think I heard a pastor say, I'm trying to think how he said it. It was like your personality has to submit to your purpose.
Mm,
So even though you think, oh, I'm just too quiet, I don't like to stand in front of crowds. Well, let's back up. Did he say stand in front of crowds, or did he say just share with the lady in the next cubicle?
right.
We
Right.
make it so big that we frighten ourselves. And God's like, I just told you to share what I just told you to the lady next to your coworker.
Right.
um, and so we make it bigger, and then we get too afraid and we get stuck.
Right.
So I say, just like I said, just walk in the revelation you have for today. What did he say do today? You know,
Right.
if you're trying to start a business, there's so many tools out there now. You can at least research and see how to get started. I know I'll give an example with me with Instagram posts. My kids, they're not on Instagram and all that all the time, but they know things, right? So
Mhm.
I told them, I said, you were born for such a time as this to help me.
Right. Right.
So my daughter showed me something on Canva, and then after that, she said, okay, mom, you're just going to have to, try and practice it and everything. And I think the first post I tried to put up, I was like, oh, where's the button to delete it? Because something was wrong. But it's okay. It's like, don't make it such a big deal. If you don't get it right, try again.
Try
Try
again.
again. Hmm.
That's true. I
Yeah.
remember when I had the BlackBerry. I loved my BlackBerry, and I did not want an iPhone. I tried
Uh-huh.
the Android. I didn't like the Android, and my daughter just kept saying, "Mom, you should get an iPhone." And I was like, "I don't want an iPhone. They have too many gadgets, and they have this." So
Right.
I broke down and I got the iPhone. And then I would call her and I said, okay, how do you do this? How do you do that? She said, old people need to stop getting technology if they don't know what they're doing. So I said, okay. I got my phone. I picked my phone up at 2 o'clock. At 3:30 that morning, I knew everything there was about that phone because I
Hmm.
was determined. I was not going to let her tell me I need to stop calling her, but I was just calling. And she said, well, Mom, I was trying to do that. I said, girl, that's easy. You can do this. And then she started calling me. I said, so
Uh-huh.
you know that's not an old thing, right? And she just he said, well, I'm going to figure it out like you, but I don't have time. You have time to do this.
Tables turned, didn't they?
Right, right.
Hmm.
She is, she's gotten better with seeing me do things. But it's just so funny when they think we don't know anything and they
Hmm.
are the experts.
I
But
told my
we
daughter,
gotta support our young kids, our
yes,
small kids, whoever it is. We just got to stick together and help each other. And
yes.
that's another reason I wanted to do this because we no longer help each other. I can
Hmm.
remember back in the day, If you needed sugar, you went next door, you went across the street. Nobody talked about you. Borrow some sugar now. It's gonna be on social media.
And I'm glad you brought that point up, because one of the things that's helped me as well is I'm in an accountability group now. It's just four of us, and that really helps each of us. And actually, we do it by Zoom because two of the ladies live in different states. They don't even
Mm,
live in the same states with each other, but we had met at a conference and decided to uh, make each other accountable. And it'll be 2 years, I think, in November.
right.
And we look back and we're like, wow, this really helps. So community and encouraging each other on learning from each other. They're a little bit younger than me,
Hmm.
and my other friend, these two are a little bit younger. But I say, to get in community with people, especially people of like mind with you, who
Right.
believe, it might not even be the same thing, but God has put you, um, let you know that He has something for you to do, and you're with people who also believe God has something for them to do. Iron does sharpen iron, and that's
Yes.
what that we're doing in community. And not to be afraid, to be in spaces with people who know more than you.
Right.
I think that really holds you back when you're like, oh, I don't know anything about that. Okay,
Mhm.
that's a good group to be in.
Right. Instead of the group that say, "Oh, she thinks she know everything." We don't know everything, and I'm willing to learn from everybody.
Ex-
I don't. I was just talking to my grandson
right.
about that. I said, "You need to associate yourself with people that can help lift you up, not all of the
Hmm.
negativity, because there's enough of that. We don't need that.
Right.
We need to make sure that we lift each other up, not talk negative. Like my husband was talking about me. He was like, "Oh, it's something in your eye." I said, "Well, why didn't you get it?" Because my daughter, she didn't care if it's in your nose, your eye. She didn't care. She's getting it. And he go, "I'm not sticking my hand out." And I say, "But if you don't want me to go out with something on my face and not tell me." And he was like, "I'm sure you look in the mirror." But what if I wasn't able to?
Right.
But we've got to be, and we've got to be receptive. If somebody say,
Yes.
"Oh, you got something on you" or whatever, you can't
Hmm.
get upset every time somebody's trying to help you. But
Right.
it goes back to mindset.
Yeah. Well, I tell my kids with the way they do me, because this is what I talk to in a book about mommy to mentor, like gradually giving your child little more, so they can become independent adults, right? So when they were growing up in teenage, if they had, especially teenage before college or so, if they had to call to check on something, I would give them some notes, like ask this, you call and you ask this.
Right,
And so, and I'd be sitting there mouthing what to say, and pointing to the paper. And so they could learn to handle their own business,
right,
call and check on things themselves. So I talk about that too in the book. But it kind of backfired on me, Cookie, because what they did for me when I needed help with different things, they kind of show me a little bit, and then they would let go. I was like, wait, can you just do it for me?
right,
No, you just got to try it. Just
right,
so what I taught you kind of backfired on me a little bit. So now they're doing me like I did them when they were growing up.
right,
Like, no, just try it. Just try it. I showed you, I wrote down. So I'm like, oh man, they're doing me like I did them, and
right.
making them do it. So that's how I've been learning for
And
sure.
you have to keep yourself motivated
Hmm.
regardless of what's going on. You
Oh yeah.
know, Sometimes I wake up and I think I just want to go back to bed. But I
Mm.
know if I get in the bed, now I was telling somebody my office is away from my house, and that's purposefully
Okay.
because if
Yeah.
I was at home, I already know. I will be either in the bed in front of that TV or
Uh-huh.
doing something that I probably shouldn't be doing, and it
We have
doesn't
to
matter.
know ourselves, don't we? We really, you do have to be honest with yourself.
Hmm. Right,
Mm-hmm.
no matter
Yeah.
what.
Yeah.
So, but what helps you stay motivated?
Mm-hmm.
When growth feels just so slow, and it does me like that
Yeah.
often,
Yes.
often.
Yes. It can move, seem to move at a snail's pace. Um, I, of course, I do quiet time and devotionals and things like that, the scriptures to encourage me, but as well, but I was saying that what keeps me, motivated and all, besides quiet time, my faith, is community, being with friends, having some downtime with them, some fun. Um, the accountability group that I said that I'm in, because it's not all about goals. It is about goals, but we also talk and laugh. And we found that um, just by being around each other now and interacting, we have goals for not just business like things, but also personal. So that kind of is encouraging when you have somebody cares about you as a person as
Right,
well, and that keeps you motivated to say, you can do this. Um, so just being around the right people
right.
is, because if you choose the wrong people, your motivation is going down fast.
Oh yeah,
Those who don't think that you can do it, or why are you doing this? You retired, you should not add anything else, just those kinds of things. But those that understand that you believe you heard from God to do certain things, and they're encouraging, that's motivation to me, and being around those people. So you have to definitely watch the noise that you hear in your own ear,
oh
the
yes.
chatter from other places, and set those boundaries.
Right, right.
Hmm.
Well, that's good. Okay, Pam, we are winding down. I
Okay.
just want to thank you for joining me today, and I have really enjoyed speaking with you and listening to you talk about the mom and me,
Mommy to mentor.
mommy to mentor.
Hmm.
But and we've got to realize quiet time does not mean that you are powerless at
Exactly.
all.
Exactly.
Every woman has a voice that can be influenced, healed, guided, and educated.
That's
Never
right.
underestimate the power of your voice. If
Absolutely.
today's episode, you got anything from it, like, share, comment, subscribe. I'm sure I'm going to have Pam back because we had some hiccups and we've got to get more in depth into another conversation. Thank you, Pam, for joining me. And I look forward to
Okay. Sounds.
you
Thank
joining
you.
me again.
I look forward to it. Thank you so much for having me. I
All
enjoyed
right.
it. All
Thank
right.
you. All
Hmm.
right.
Bye bye.